Hi guys, and welcome to a deck tech video with LJ, who's been piloting Edric time travel well with this deck on the MLC, if I understand.
Currently 4-0, playing a bunch of different decks, but one of the wins is with Edric. Been doing well with the deck for a while now, so very happy with my results.
What are the other decks you've been playing on the MLC?
So I'm playing Najila, Tassiger, and Belby.
Belby? That sounds very... Belby. You know, they have something in common here. Belby is group hug, and this is also kinda group hug, kinda.
I like the group hug decks, man. Like everybody gets something from my game, you know.
Gotta share the love. Love. But what form of deck is this? What is this deck trying to do? Because obviously it's good. It's not just group hug. It's actually winning.
Yeah. So the deck is a tempo deck. There's some mid-range elements to it, but it's more tempo based. That's trying to break parity with Edric's ability by drawing a bunch of cards. And the best way to do that is with aggressive small creatures to help you draw a bunch of cards. And then you're interacting here and there with your opponents, stopping them, and then when it's time for you to go for a win, you go for a win with extra turns. So there's no combo win or anything crazy like that. It's just you're just taking extra turns and you're hitting your opponents through combat damage, drawing a bunch of cards, taking more extra turns, and you wash, rinse, repeat until the game is over.
Sounds very simple and clean, honestly.
Yeah, it's a very, very simple deck. Nothing too crazy. There's some nuances here and there, depending on your meta, but really it's just play dudes, cast your commander, draw cards, profit. Yeah, very easy.
So how does it usually look like when you're winning? Like, what's the end state for this deck?
So the end state for this deck is Edric out, obviously, because you want to draw cards, and usually between around four to five other creatures that are evasive in nature, and you're drawing cards with them. There's not a combo win, but there is a win condition in the deck. It's Notorious Throng.
Ooh.
Whenever you deal combat damage with a rogue, normally you make flyers equal to the amount of damage you dealt to opponents. But if you dealt damage with a rogue specifically, you take an extra turn after this. So now you create a snowball effect where you're taking extra turns but making a lot more dudes in the process. You're almost doubling the power on board. So what you want to do is recur this particular turn spell to keep doubling your power every turn, and then you just win. You win like that. So you'll see me play. Sometimes I'll have like 5 power on board, but then like bam, I have 10. Then next turn, bam, I have 20, and then over time you're just winning the game like that.
There's also this new turn spell that is also creating birds. Create 2 birds, flying, taking an turn to this one. So this is increasing your creature count, but also giving you an extra turn.
Yeah, so that we were very happy with that. Card got spoiled. We knew immediately it was going into the deck. Difference between that and our actual win con turn spell is that this card gets exiled. If it didn't get exiled, oh man, it would have been bonkers. But
yeah, because you can actually reanimate your extra turn spell with something like Eternal Witness and variants to Eternal Witness.
Yep.
So you actually win by beatdown. You don't have a combo finisher, so to say. It just kill them with 1/1 flying men.
Yeah. So we've tested in the past different ways to win. We tried infect and stuff, but all of that really doesn't really matter when you're taking all of the turns and you're gonna beat down your opponent. You're gonna kill your opponents with combat damage anyway. There's no point in having infect.
Yeah, this used to be a very popular Edric card, I think.
Very early on, it was very popular, and then just as more turn spells, especially reasonable ones to cast, came out, we've realized that there is no point in actually having this, because Triumph of the Hordes as a kill condition needs a lot of setup, because you have to think, if you're dealing 10 infect to each opponent, you need about 30 power on board.
Yeah.
And if you have 30 power on board anyway, why not just take extra turn? Yeah, you don't need it. Yeah.
But I'm also guessing that you could just if you have the mana not overload, but 10x on the final devastation to just over on your opponents, I guess, as well.
Oh yeah, you can do that too. That's a big boon with Finale Devastation. Not only just a great tutor card, but if it does get to it, we can just overrun our opponents.
So going into a game, how should you plan and strategize? Like, what's the game plan? Is there something to think about when you're piloting this deck?
So definitely you're thinking about what kind of decks your opponents are playing. If there's a lot of fast combo decks, you just have to remember you're not racing. You're not beating, turbo ad nauseum decks or, very tuned commander centric decks. Like, you're not racing a Godo ever. A lot of people think, oh, with Edric, I want to start drawing cards as fast as possible. True, that is technically true. You do want to draw cards as fast as possible. But what we've learned with just how the meta has evolved, instead of trying to gung-ho a turn 2 Edric, maybe a turn 3 Edric, but with some dudes that can start drawing you cards immediately is the better option. And you leave the first 2 turns to just kind of interact, try to stop the turn 2 wins, the turn 1 and 2 wins, those fast wins, and then cast Edric, draw cards, and then by turn 4, turn 5, you're looking to try to close out the game.
So you're developing a little bit more cautiously, so to say.
Yes, 100%. You have to with this meta.
Oh yeah, I agree. But I have noticed that you're playing Collector Roof inside this deck.
Playing Collector Roof and Null Rod. That's to just have permanent interaction for these red heavy artifact based decks that want to win quickly. A lot of them lean towards artifact ramp to ritual fast ad nauseum's fast wins. So you want Null Rod and Oof to help you out.
Yeah, a Null Rod or Collector Roof really kind of stops that completely.
Oh yeah. You probably still want some stack interaction as well, but definitely, like, if you have an early Null Rod and an early Collector Roof, you're in a pretty good spot. So we actually don't play Birds, Utopia Sprawl, or Wild Growth in the deck. We really want Dork based ramp because they add power to the board, so you could actually swing with them. Whenever you're done powering out your Edric, you want to actually start swinging with them. And Birds of Paradise is an amazing card, but it does have a power. I think if it had a power, it'd be $1 billion. But
yeah, it would be very good. It would be heavily played in Legacy.
Oh my gosh!
One mana cost a green mana cost 1/1 flying creature that can tap for mana.
Yeah.
Now we're talking Legacy, ban in Legacy.
Yeah, easily. But yeah, so stuff like Utopia Sprawl, Wild Growth, Birds that don't actually add creatures to the board, that's not what we're looking for.
I see.
But the other dorks, yeah, those are perfect.
But adding creatures to the board, I'm having a feeling that this is something that could wreck you. I mean, board-wide, you're a heavy creature deck, and you want to draw cards.
The best way I tell people to play around those things is to just make either have a counterspell or don't overcommit to the board. Especially if you know if your opponents are playing these kind of cards. Hull Breacher is kind of the most difficult to deal with, but the other three, Toxic Deluge, Fire Covenant, Pyroclasm, just maybe instead of having dropping 5 to 6 creatures out, just have 1 to 2, draw a couple cards here and there. If they board wipe that, then that's fine. You still have the creatures in your hand, so you can rebuild easily. Hull Breacher, you just have to kill. Hull Breacher is just going to be a big thing. What I tell people to do is set up your board state and then prepare to bounce the Hull Breacher maybe on somebody's end step or something if they're tapped out, and then just try to go off on that small window that's your turn.
I have noticed that your deck doesn't play these two, Toski and Oran Frostfang. And I have seen some Edric decks containing these two. What are your thoughts on them? I mean, they're doing the same thing as Edric, but they're not group hugging anyone.
Yeah, so they're really good cards, but the fact that Edric is in your command zone, it's just easily accessible. Something like Toski or Frostfang, you're either gonna have to tutor it or you're gonna have to hope you draw into it. That's not where we want to be. The big thing is you want to skew the dudes that you play to having as much value as possible. So a lot of our creatures actually draw cards on their own, like just as their own added effects. So you have something like, Ludo Core, Oakham Adversary. Those are the kind of creatures you want to see early on. Ghostly Pilferer. that can draw cards on their own, that's where you really want to be with the kind of dudes that you're playing. That helps offset, not having Edric out. So, like, say you don't want other people drawing cards because maybe there's a Najila or a Timna. You obviously don't want to give those decks cards. Definitely don't want to give no Najila
Yeah, Najila,
cards.
I'm having a feeling Najila could be pretty good versus this deck.
Oh, I mean, Najila plays Edric in the 99, so
Yeah.
Yeah, so very good.
So what is this commander's strengths? Like, what is this commander good? Why should you bring this to a tournament?
If you want a deck that doesn't lose to itself. Big problem with a lot of commanders nowadays is that they're good engines for win cons, but they don't draw cards. So you're really relying on your opening mulligans, and a lot of people have to aggressively mulligan to get their engine going. With Edric, really, man, you just need 2 lands, couple dudes, and some counter spells, and you're already in a good spot. The other thing is this deck doesn't lose to the hate that the top decks are getting. So
that is very important. You can kind of play against the meta in a sort of way.
Usually in a tournament, you're gonna have the top decks, and then you're gonna have a lot of people try to play to beat those top decks, and because you don't play any of the stuff that bothers the top decks. So like Null Rod and Collector Roof are really good against these Turbo and Nauseam decks, which are really good right now in this format. Edric plays Null Rod and Oof. We don't lose to those things. Stuff like Sanctum Prelate, maybe like if you see like bunch of mono white decks, Blood Pod, those kind of decks, it doesn't lose to those decks. So you're helping those decks because you want them to really hose these decks for you. You're like, please play a Blood Moon for me, please.
You almost want them to draw a little bit of cards there so they can use those cards. You give them to your Odnos opponents.
Yeah, of course. So, and the good thing about this deck is a lot of the top decks just don't play a lot of creatures. So combat damage, a lot of people don't really value combat damage as a win condition. But if you're always applying pressure on the actual board, on the board itself, instead of just try to turbo out a fast win, then you're gonna really make these decks struggle to get there. Because especially with like these ad nauseum decks where they want a bunch of life, early on. But if you're constantly pressuring their life totals, you're doing a few things. One, you're invalidating their win conditions. Two, you're now forcing them to make bad plays, if that's what I say. If I keep hitting you a lot and you're at 27, you're more inclined now to just jam this ad nauseum, and you probably didn't want to do that, but you're probably going to start thinking, oh, I can't win now, which is great for me because now you're desperate, and that's where I want my opponents to be. So they're going to make desperate plays, and those are very easy to interact with now. They're probably casting ad nauseum into open mana, which is where you want to be.
I agree. I really like what you said there about sometimes poking the bear and making the bear scream, because if you want that to happen, because then all of your other opponents are going to interact, and then you're more open to combo for your turn.
Yep, 100%. Yep.
So what about this deck's weakness? What should you think about when you are constructing Edric? Because I'm guessing he has a few weaknesses.
So the big thing is he's not a fast deck. This is not a turn 3 win deck, and you should never construct it in a way to make it that quick.
I think that's very interesting that you're saying, because a lot of people are saying that Edric is a fast deck.
It's not. It's really not. I've drawn the nuts every now and then, but
sometimes it happens.
Yeah, that's 1 in a million. But usually you're trying to win between turns 5 to 7.
Yeah.
If you think about how fast is that's pretty slow. That's pretty.
That's pretty slow.
Around where mid range. Yeah, that's pretty slow, especially nowadays. But that's around where mid range wants to win. If you're looking for a deck that wins fast, this is not the deck for you. This is not look somewhere else. Look for one of those turbo ad nauseam decks to get to win quick. This is not winning you quick. Another weakness of the deck, and it's very unfortunate. So it plays creatures and it uses creatures to leverage card advantage, but its win cons are instants and sorceries. what's the problem with instant sorceries? Those are easily interactable. It's not something like a Godo where its win con is a creature, so you already have a win condition that's already hard to interact with. Everybody plays instant sorcery interaction, so you have to really think about when you're going off and having enough backup to protect your win con. The win con is you kind of have to snowball into the win con. It's not deterministic. There we go. That's the better actually. It's a non-deterministic win con.
Yes, I know what you mean. You could fizzle.
You could fizzle, so literally every turn you're thinking about, how do I get to the next turn spell? How do I keep the ball rolling? Because the worst feeling is when you're almost there and then, damn, I don't have a turn spell. So then you have to pass the turn, and now
board wipe.
That's not what. Yeah, board wipe. Board wipe, or somebody else wins the next turn, and it's like, oh no, that's awful.
I also
feeling.
think that you need to have like a build up with this. Like you need to put some stuff into play, and if that gets destroyed, you need to rebuild it again, kind of.
If you understand how the deck works, then you'll understand where to really stop it. So once you see like Edric and like 2 to 3 dudes, it's like, okay, if you stop me there, then it's like, oh man, I gotta rebuild. Yeah. It's very easy. Yeah, it's not too telegraphed where like, oh, I know exactly what he's going off, but like if you know what you're looking for, then it's very easy to stop. And unfortunately, the weakness is Edric is the engine of the deck.
Yes.
It can win without Edric if I have the right dudes, but Edric is the engine of the deck. It's very important, especially when you're going for the win. Early game is not really that important, especially if you have the right dudes. But definitely when you're trying to go off and win with extra turns, you really want to have Edric out. So if someone blows up the Edric, during the combat step, and now you have to cast Edric and cast a turn spell, it gets really hard. So turn spells, are very blue intensive. They're very mana intensive, but the big thing is very blue intensive. You want to skew your deck in a way where you're not using as much blue mana as possible. Green decks are very good at making green mana. Yes. Very good at making colorless mana. There's Priest, there's Gaia's Cradle, Nykthos and stuff. And it's very good at making green mana.
That's what Landward Elves does.
But the problem is, when you're going off, you need a lot of blue to really win, because not only do you need to cast your turn spells, which are 2 to 3 blue pips themselves, you want interaction to protect your turn spells, and depending on the kind of interaction you have, that's 1 to 2 blue pips by yourself. So you need 5 blue pips. Right, and that's just for 1 turn spell and maybe 1 piece of interaction. So
I'm guessing that in that case, Flooded Grove is really important for this deck because you can convert that green.
It actually is one of your most important lanes when you're trying to go off. Like you really want to see that early, because sometimes you'll have a Priest of Titania and it's making you 4 green just by itself, which is great. And now if you have a Flooded Grove, use 1 of the green to make 2 blue. That's enough mana to cast your turn spells. Also, you want to go back to Arbor Elf. Arbor Elf is actually one of the most important mana dorks in this deck. It really is the only one that really taps for blue. It's untapping a forest, but your most searched land is Tropical Island or Breeding Pool. So Arbor Elf becomes one of your only dorks that effectively taps for blue. And the big thing I want to stress to people, especially if you're new to cEDH or you're just getting started, and even if you're a veteran, you're just kind of in a rut, in a little rut, just play a lot of games with the decks you like, and the wins will come. I'll tell you guys, I've been playing this deck for 10 years, and I've never stopped loving the deck. And as long as you make a concerted effort to get better with the deck, improve yourself and improve the deck, then you'll win. Then you'll win. The wins are come. You're gonna lose a lot early. That's what happened to me. But you're gonna get there.
I really 100% agree with that, because I've been looking at some tournament results here and there, and I've noticed that the people that are performing good with the decks that they know. the decks that they love and the decks that they've played a lot. They aren't bringing the favorite deck, the boogeymans, the decks that are supposed to be the best. They are bringing what they understand the best, and that is why they are punching in good results.
And it helps if you like the deck. You know, the plays get the experience gets a lot better when you actually enjoy the deck you're playing. Yes, you can play a deck that's good because it's quote unquote good, but if you don't like the deck, you're not gonna win, because
also you're probably gonna play it bad potentially. If you really enjoy this deck, you're really gonna play better. I think you could become a little bit more alert and such.
And if you enjoy the deck, you're going to understand the play patterns a lot better, because you want to understand the play patterns a lot better, because you now have motivation to play the deck as optimally as possible, because it's a deck you want to play all the time, so you want to play it as best as possible. You can't do that with a deck you don't like, you know. So, and it just makes the experience of cEDH a lot better. Yes, it's a, you know, competitive format. Sometimes people are cutthroat, but if you enjoy the deck you're playing, all of that is fine, because you love the game and you love the deck and you love playing Magic. You know, that's really what I want to stress to people especially when they ask me, like, why do I keep playing Edric? Because
I love it.
If Edric wasn't here, I don't think I would be playing cEDH. And I can't be more honest than that. Well, that card is the reason I'm playing cEDH.
Can I ask, in that case, what do you like about him? Why is he so fun, in your opinion?
So it's really because it reflects on how I like to play card games and how I like to just play Magic in general. You know, I like having a board presence. I like swinging and dealing combat damage to people, and I like having my commander as an engine that turns the cogs and makes it, you know, and makes the deck work. Like, I like having, and that's what I really enjoyed about Edric. It's like, man, I love dudes, I love dorks, I like elves, and the Edric deck encompasses all the stuff that I like about Magic.
That is beautiful. Honestly beautiful. Who said you couldn't get emotional about cEDH? That is beautiful.
Right? Yeah.
You know what I actually think is really fun in Magic is surprisingly losing. Because when I lose, I can sit back and analyze and think, okay, why did I lose? Can I become better? And I think that is a fun thing.
One good thing about, you know, cEDH having a lot of content creators and, you know, all the ways we can record ourselves playing, if you watch yourself play and understand the key points at which you've made mistakes when you've lost, then you'll get better. So a lot of things what I like to do is actually I like to record all my games. If I go to, you know, a content creator stream, you know, or whatever, and play there, you know, I like to watch, you know, give myself a day, and then I'll watch the game after and see where I messed up at, you know, what were, you know, I try to remember what I was thinking during these plays, and it helps me improve. Watching yourself play, really helps you improve.
I so much agree here. You know, I usually tell other content creators to make gameplay videos, not because they're gonna make money, because you don't really make that much money on gameplay videos, but you become such a better player, because I also watch my own gameplay videos just to analyze and become better, and I do improve from that. Now, if you guys want to take a look at card by card exactly how LJ here have been putting together his Edric deck, there's a link in the description below of this video. Is there an Edric Discord?
Yeah, there's an Edric Discord, and we'll also put that link in the description below. I'm a moderator for that Discord, so if you ever want to ask me questions directly, please join the Discord and, you know, send me a message, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
LJ, thank you for coming here and sharing your experience with Edric, but also I really appreciate that you coming here and also talking a little bit about the essence of Magic. Some things we actually have to remember sometimes, like playing decks that we enjoy playing that are bringing us fun.
A lot of people forget that Magic is about fun, and I know a lot of people quit because they stop having fun with Magic, and a lot of the times they focus on winning too much. And I played other card games where, like, all I cared about was winning, and I don't play those card games anymore. All right. Bye, guys. Thank you.
See you around. Bye, guys.
Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what I do and you wanna support me, feel free to share my videos or even checking out my Patreon page. Also, Purchasing cards from the TCG Players website using the affiliate link in the description below of the video will also help the channel grow. So a big thank you to all of you.